It is Wednesday. RawMikeRichards.com. Broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Happy Valentine's Day.
Hey. You remember.
Oh. You and you and you and you. Do I do what Gallagher did and give the little wink like that? Because he told like 17 different girls it was for them.
It's a veteran move.
He goes, you remember that? You remember that? Of course, it was like the grossest thing I've heard in my life. Can't believe you even attempted that. But he did. There's very few things that John Gallagher has not attempted. We are going to go over the Olympic tournament in the world of hockey. As we see already, as I said on Twitter, it's a dog's paradise. We've got some winners, and not the ones that were favored. I think you've really got to distinguish what's on those, who's on those rosters for that country. And I think the countries that get it the most are the ones that actually provide NHL players. Who's going to lose more when you think about it? So if you're Team Canada, you're playing the Swiss. I think you know where I'm going with this. Also, Jillian Welsh from the very famous Second City right here in Toronto. They've got one of their brand new shows, and we'll be talking about that. Their Valentine show called Hooking Up Second Base. So I assume she has some ideas, but as you know, if they're from Second City and they're comedians, may not be the warmth that you're looking for. Also, some throwbacks, including, if we're talking international hockey, Pia Stanny is still one of the more, Dave, I would say, infamous hockey moments that probably only Canadians and maybe Russians, I don't know. No one really holds on to the World Junior Tournament like Canada. Like, it's not really close.
No, it's not. Nowhere, not even in the States. I have a lot of friends that are avid hockey watchers in the States, and they're like, oh, it's that Canadian tournament again. It's like, no, it's World Juniors. Yeah, but it's the Canadian tournament that's usually in Canada.
Because that's the reputation, is that we're the ones that care about it. It's sort of like if I start talking to someone about March Madness. You can see, for those that are interested in it, they might have a vague sort of understanding because it is a big tournament.
Sure.
But once you start talking about college basketball, you can just kind of see the, like it did kind of fading out. It's like, are you serious? Are you talking about Eastern Tennessee? Yeah, they're unbelievable. Don't you think so? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
know. There's an Eastern Tennessee? Yeah, there is. Just like there's a Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky.
There is.
I don't know the language of which you speak.
Northern Tulsa.
No, I don't. Well, there probably is a Northern Tulsa. Every time you want to roll your eyes at something, it's like east, west, north. You know.
Seriously.
Yeah. Look, if you can have schools called Incarnate Word,
yeah, exactly.
You can pretty much have anything. So there's a William and Mary. Yeah, William and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to ask Pinner about that because that's the school that he played for under a coach named Lou Holtz.
Oh, yes.
So,
the legendary Notre Dame coach.
Yeah, so they'll come from somewhere. By the way, before we get to the Olympic tournament in which there were some pretty big upsets, what do you make about the Dion Phaneuf, that 4-player trade where, you hear stories about players being traded like during games, in-game? I know that my great friend Peter Marr, legendary voice of the Calgary Flames, talked about times where sometimes when that stuff goes on, he goes, he could give the instance of it, where you go to one dressing room at the beginning of the game, at the end of the game, you don't go on that bus, you're getting on another bus. And it's really weird. Sometimes they pop their head and go, thanks a lot, fellas. And then they go to the other team bus and they're gone.
It's weird, I know.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, in a nutshell, if you needed a headline for that trade, it was basically garbage for garbage.
Huh.
Phaneuf, Gabrick. By the way, happy birthday, Marion Gabrick. You turned 36 today. Welcome to Ottawa, you crazy guy.
I didn't see that on any of the sports centers or sports desk.
You didn't see garbage for garbage?
No, I did not.
Interesting.
The Senators retained 25% of Phaneuf's $7 million salary cap hit. So the Kings...
Who's the idiots who signed him to that deal? Oh, man. They're probably no longer in those positions.
Okay, they're saying the Kings get a top 4 defenseman. For $5.25 million over the next 3 years plus.
You're stretching it.
A top 4 defenseman.
You're stretching it a little bit. I mean, on some teams, maybe, but if he's a top 4 on your team, are you doing well? Probably not. No.
So they saved. So the Senators saved like $4 million.
Well, see, the thing is, Gabrick's contract is pretty hefty itself. Rusty was telling me, what is it, about $5 million for Gabrick's deal?
Yeah, it's 4.8, I believe.
Yeah, so it's not much of a savings. Like when I first saw the deal, I thought, okay, they're trying to save a little bit of money here by dumping a player that they no longer want. Maybe they'll buy out Gabrick eventually. I don't know. I look at this and I honestly see it like, you got rid of one, hunk of metal on the defense for another hunk of metal on the wing. And it's Marian Gaborik isn't the Marian Gaborik that we loved as the Minnesota Wild.
Well, as you said,
and he never will be. Never.
36 years old.
Yes.
And unless you're like the weirdness of a Yager or, I don't know, Chelios, or pick the name that was still substantial when they're 36 years old.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to imagine. And again, he's also had a career where it's a little confusing. It's he had the skills that wowed people. He also played on a Minnesota Wild team where Jacques Lemaire got criticized all the time.
Yep.
For the lack of playing in his earlier days. And Jacques Lemaire used to say he doesn't fit for what we do and he's not capable right now of doing what he has to do. But people always just want to see the young guy on the ice. That didn't happen there. And there was a lot of, I don't know, I would say confrontational sort of talk at that point. By the time he goes to New York, I don't think he was, because that was Torts at that time, I believe, was it not, that got Gaborik? Because I don't know if he was a Torts guy either, to be honest. Because that didn't seem to fit there either.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it probably was. But you know what? When Gaborik finally made his way to Los Angeles, Daryl Sutter turned him back into a decent player, and that's what earned him this contract that he's still living on right now.
Yeah, I think, and which means it's sort of meanders all the way through. So it's always about fit. People always talk about the number 1 draft picks sometimes in like NCAA football, for instance. Well, your reward, Dave, sometimes is going to the worst team in the league. And if you don't have an offensive line, they're like, oh, God, remember that guy? Remember all the chances? If you don't fit for what that coaching staff does, for what the schemes are, and you could name the sport, all of a sudden you look like you're, one of the big busts. And then they love to use that word bust. Sometimes I think it's just you run out of kind of luck on where you end up. And that's why sometimes it takes a long time to find a fit. And maybe, just maybe, if it had been different, if it was a Daryl Sutter team maybe all those years ago, maybe when he was in Calgary, maybe we're talking about something different. But that's fantasy land because you go where you go. You don't get to, unless you're the NBA, pick your team.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that's the only example.
Pick your team. Also,
pretty sad too.
It is pretty sad. Let's take a look at some of those upsets today in the Olympics because I'll say this. I heard someone speaking of March Madness. When you fall in love with the seeding, well, number 2 can't beat number, 2 doesn't beat 14, or you start throwing those seedings out. When you get to these kinds of tournaments, you just don't know necessarily what's going to happen. And you're telling me in an Olympics where the key countries that filter most of the pro players into the NHL don't have their players, how can you really be in love with some of the rosters when you take a look at it? I.e., the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So who beat the U.S., Dave?
Slovenia beat the United States.
Slovenia.
And the United States were down 2-0 before you start singing that national anthem.
Slovenia, Slovenia, way to go.
Is that how it goes?
That's
pretty good.
That's one version of it.
So
I hope that was the gender neutral Slovenian anthem.
So they tie up the game at 2 with about a minute and change left in the third period and win it in overtime. So man, that's a massive victory for a country that is now on the verge of not being relegated, because there's always that fear that because you're a bottom feed in the Olympic event, those last 3 teams really play for being able to stay in for the next one, because the funding between Olympic A and Olympic B is massive, and for a developing country developing country that is
a hockey country.
Yes. Yeah, not a developing country. It's been around forever. They need those funds to boost a system that really isn't that good. It's an older team, and now they're starting to foundation, some of the younger pieces in. It's a massive win, even though it was a shorthanded United States team. But you can say that about shorthanded Finland, Sweden, Canada, anything, even Russia to a certain extent, even though they are a professional KHL team that is feeding that system. Mm-hmm. It isn't the Russian A team. Melkin isn't there. Ovechkin isn't there. Those top players aren't there either. So it isn't a top-fledged tournament that we're used to seeing.
So, and the Soviets, or I like to say the Soviets. People, it's not the Soviet Union anymore. Yes, it is.
I still refer to it as that.
The Soviets. Here come the Soviets. They ran into, and it looked like they were going to run over Slovakia.
Well,
it was 2-2 within what, the first 4 minutes?
4 minutes, yeah.
Ouch. So therefore we are talking about...
you'd almost think that if you were betting on that game, you'd be like sitting pretty, right?
You would think that.
Yeah, and I got a couple texts from Luch that I'd like to read right now.
Oh, no.
Looks like you didn't win your bet.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. He didn't text me. I'm joking.
But the Russians, what a fail. I'm sorry. That is a fail.
I hope they get crushed the rest of the tournament. You know what? Nothing says Olympics like the Russians choking at the most critical time and starting a big tournament that everybody thinks you're the favorite. It's like, I hope they lose everything.
Yeah, that happens to gamblers. Now we're all bitter. Now we're all mad. We didn't get our bet, so we're like, I hope they lose. Because I know when people aren't used to hanging around gamblers, like, why are you so mad? Shut up. You're just a whore when you bet. You're cheering, if you want the over, you're happy for everybody. But if you want the under, you hate everybody.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And what's the number one thing you do after you lose a bet? You make another one.
Oh, of course you do. There's always a new day. There's another bet.
So I got Germany plus 2 goals against Finland.
Okay, there you go. All right.
And sorry to say it, but I got Switzerland to win outright. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. I'm sorry. I got them to win.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
It's almost a 4.
The Swiss give Canada's A-list teams a hard time in the Olympics these days. International hockey, you play Switzerland, you're going to be in for a tough game because of all the expats that have been there, the professional leagues. They're all there. So you're telling me, like, plus 1.5, you get $1.72?
Yep.
So you're giving me $1.50? I'm taking it. Puck and A. Oh, that was delicious. That was very good. Okay, so once again, I know it's Valentine's Day, and people certainly in our demographic.
Well, you just played the Valentine's music.
I'm trying to find something because Jillian Wells from Second City. Yeah, that Second City. They've got their brand new show, and she's gonna, I guess, give us ideas. Probably not.
No, we can talk about the show a little bit and see what's going on.
The show of a Second City Love.
Yes, and it's something Russell has majored in, getting to second base.
You big second base man, Russell? You he doesn't even want to put the camera on. He doesn't even want to do it.
He's reluctant to pick up the mic.
He doesn't want to do it. That's like right in the middle of punting because he's sad that he's the punter. I'm looking down as the long snapper. I'm like, call the signals. You snapped. I'm snapping that ball. You kick that ball. Russell, once again, his jealousy arising. We have a bunch, and I had this great. We're gonna do it probably next week, but this great clip of when the WHA Jets.
We're gonna make it even better next week.
Played the Russians, and Joe Daly. Every time I show a clip, Joe Daly seems to be in it, and he's making all these saves.
You know what? He didn't even. He only played one of those games because it was a 4-game set. Just to give you some background for everybody, it was one of the better tournaments that a lot of people never heard of because it was.
I remember watching it.
Oh, really? Okay,
absolutely.
Because the thing is,
because I was like, WHA, how come they're getting this?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 games were played in Tokyo. And the game 4 was played in Winnipeg. That's the big one that the Jets fans will always remember because that's the one they won 5-3. Yeah. So I won't tell you who won the first 3 games. It's the other team. But the last game was fantastic.
Yeah, it's very cool. And Daly's making all these saves every time we show something. So we'll get a hold of him next week. But if we're talking international hockey, the World Juniors are something that, as Canadians, as we know, we're obsessed by. It is literally a part of your Christmas celebration. Birth of Christ, guys who play for Moose Jaw. You know what I'm saying? This is what we do. It's just it is off the charts obsession. But it didn't always have, for instance, before TSN became the voice of and the face of World Junior tournaments, you had the CBC.
Yes.
You had guys like I think we're going to hear Don Whitman actually calling this game.
The legend.
Just fantastic. Piastani is the infamous brawl where they turn out the lights. And not as in the Don Meredith, turn out the lights, the party's over. No, the party just got started. This was a very rough party.
This was crazy.
And when you look at this, so this is what, 19, is it 80? 87. Sorry, 87, yeah. 80, what am I saying? 87. If you haven't seen this, if you're obviously too young to remember or haven't seen the clips, this was as strange a sight as you'll see right now as it really was back then. And I've never seen lights turned out as guys are filling each other in. Piastani, 1987, the World Juniors, how it kind of, well, I was going to say how it used to be, but let's be honest, it was never this.
Well, we had a real skirmish just moments ago following a face-off. It all started when Santa Claus...
And here we go. There's Dan Whitman. CBC doing the broadcast. So this could be property of the HHF?
Yeah, double IHF.
Yeah.
Quick, someone turn up the light.
Like it's just crazy watching this. And as Don Whitman said, in international hockey, you never see this. Because everyone, basically the teams they'd all be thrown out. Listen to Whitman, he just can't believe it.
I mean, this is unbelievable. There's two guys on the Canadian player here. There's two guys on him. And now one of the Soviet players. Oh, Smirnoff just knee.
And you have to understand the crowd right now, that European crowd, horrified. They've never seen anything like this.
This is unbelievable. This has never been seen in international hockey.
Can you imagine if this happened in the Olympics?
Woo-wee. Goalies are going on.
Goalie fight! People are weird about that. It's like when two women fight in a movie. People go, can't fight! Too weird.
They don't know how to deal with it even. They don't know how to deal with a situation like this. Huh.
So what is the answer here?
This is an unbelievable scene. They're trying to maintain order.
So they figure to maintain order for safety that they're going to turn out the lights here.
I don't know what they're going to do. Our team is ready to go again with Salapukin.
Look at the goalies.
He has the backup goaltender down. This all started with Santa Pass and his check on Seskarikov.
Yeah, can you imagine if you're joining this in progress?
But I don't know how they're going to continue this game because in international hockey, according to the rules, this is not permitted.
I remember staring at this thinking, what the hell am I watching?
What a skirmish.
And I hope we're winning the fights.
They're still ready to go at it. And now Santa Pass comes in. He's ready to go with anybody. Santa Pass hasn't even removed his glove. He's hitting anybody around. He still has his gloves on.
He's hitting anybody that's around, and here we go.
Now Elnuck is involved with Konstantinov. They're trying to turn the lights
And here come the
off.
lights.
They turned them off.
The lights are off.
Lights on are to control the play.
In the dark fighting.
But that's not going to solve anything. They turned the lights off in the arena, but that isn't going to solve anything. They're still fighting. I've never seen anything like this.
No, and
Even in the National Hockey League.
to this day, we certainly haven't. How about Don Whitman?
Russell's best friend, Brendan Shanahan, was on that team.
Yeah, think about the guys who
A
were
lot
on
of people
that team.
don't. When you look at the roster, too, Glenn Wesley, Steve Chason, Theron Fleury, Mike Keane, Dave McElwain, Pat Allenuck, Pierre Turgeon, Jimmy Waite, who was a very good junior goaltender, never quite translated into the National Hockey League, but he's turned out to be a very good goaltending coach. On the other side, Sergei Fedorov, Alex McGillney, Evgeny Davidov, Vladimir Malakoff. I mean, there were some pretty big, significant NHL players, or would-be NHL players for the years to come. The thing I'll remember about that, watching that as a kid, is they go back to the CBC studios, and Don Cherry is sitting alongside Brian Williams. And Don got so mad at Brian for blaming the Canadian team on this that he wanted to strangle him.
I did see that. Like, I was like, okay, are they going to let me kind of use that too? Because Don had sort of almost brownish hair. Like he actually had hair, sort of the comb over that he had.
Like, and that's almost. I loved him before, but that almost, certified my love for Don Cherry, and just the way he was so vigorous in his opinion on it.
And
it was
passionate
true.
about it, because Brian's going, but don't you think that in the long and
It's like no.
And he goes, what are you supposed to do when they send guys over? And I always say this, guys come over, and the guys who send them first, that's how it goes. So if he come over like that and send all them guys, then what are you supposed to do, Brian?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. He kept going back. It's so awesome. I mean, it's great. Maybe we should get both those guys in here, because we probably can now.
Yeah. It's
okay.
Pretty cool.
And so I know what you're saying, leading up to that conversation. But what about Valentine's Day?
Well, that's what Coach Frank's asking me. When are we going to talk about that?
What about the love? So Jillian Welsh, who's part of Second City, probably the most famous, I would say, improv group in the world. In the history of North American comedy, I don't know if you can get any bigger than the names that come out of Second City. Their Valentine's Base show is hooking up Second Base. Jillian is going to join us in studio next. And just who has been a part of the Second City, especially here in Toronto, well, those that made SCTV in a reunion. This is, once again, courtesy of CBC, the Unbelievable News Desk sketch. Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, as you know, Earl Cannonbear, and Floyd Robertson. This is a part of their live 25th year reunion on the other side. We'll talk to Jillian.
I'm Floyd Robertson.
And I'm Earl Cannonbear.
And this is the Second City Evening News. Tragedy in China today as another heavy earthquake rocked the capital of Beijing, with a tremor measured at 13.1 on the Richter scale. The widespread destruction and estimated 2 million casualties makes this the worst disaster in Asian history. Earl?
Melonville City Council today voted down a proposed plan to build a new recreation center, which was to be completed by late September. The city council spokesman was quoted as saying, "Our intentions were good, but the costs were bad." Floyd?
Fierce fighting erupted in the Middle East today as Israeli jets bombarded Arab positions along the Lebanese border. The heavy casualties, 600,000 of them, make this the worst disaster in Mideast history. Earl.
A small fire broke out in a health food store on Yonge Street early this morning. It was quickly doused by passing pedestrians and was under control by the time fire officials arrived. Damage was estimated at $45. There were no injuries.
The classic SCTV sketch is just, and now to talk Valentine's Day, as Jillian Welsh is now in studio. Let's see if this works.
And she has 2 shows today, too.
Yeah.
2 shows. Here is, oh yeah.
Oh.
That you probably can't even, can you hear this?
No, I heard like a little piano.
Absolutely.
Little
pianos.
light piano for me.
Does that feel like a Gillian Welch night? Is there a thing like that?
Hey, I'll take a pianist any day.
Gillian Welch from the Second City, and when you start going through the names that whether it's the touring company, the national touring company, the main stage in Toronto, whether it's here, Chicago, L.A., we're talking about the most prestigious, really, comedy factory that has produced almost literally every comedic superstar that Hollywood has ever seen, and half of them Canadian. And Gillian Welch joins us today. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
This is so cool. So what I always wonder is people hear about the workshops.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're like, well, I just work in an office. Am I funny? Can I do this? But a lot of people obviously have a background. They might have taken a university. There might be stand-ups.
Yeah.
How do you come to get to Second City?
Well, I ended up doing sketch comedy. I was working in a bar.
Nice.
And I was serving this.
Welcome to the
yeah,
club.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I was serving this group of guys, and they were super mopey. So I was trying to cheer them up, like, come on, like snap out of it. So I was doing this, what I now know is a bit, this character of like being obsessed with coasters, and they asked me to join their sketch comedy troupe. So I said yes.
Did you know they were a sketch comedy?
No, and I didn't really know what sketch comedy was.
So where are you?
I said yes because I wanted them to tip me more.
So this is in Toronto. So you're in Toronto doing this.
I'm in Toronto, yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, so I Googled it, and I ended up actually showing up. And yeah, so I started doing a sketch with them. And then through that, I was like, I want to learn more about this. So I started taking classes at Second City.
So this is just
Yeah.
the rant. This is that story that people dream about.
Yeah.
And so she was putting ice cream into a soda. I love your work, kid. You're fabulous.
Serving them some Mill
Yeah.
Street organic.
Yeah, there you go.
Spilling it on the table.
That is incredible. So the first process is the workshop, correct?
Yeah, so the first thing I did was I took the conservatory, which is just like a series of classes
Yes.
of like learning. But they're great for anybody.
Because I know sometimes companies just do it just to get their staff to loosen up.
Oh, absolutely. Or even in like improv level A, and it's so much fun. You learn how to agree with everybody. You make some really great friends, and and the going out for a beer after class is always great too. Yeah.
Well, but then it must evolve because it's like thanks for coming out, thanks for paying your $175 for 6 classes or whatever. But someone says, we think you should do what? What does someone say to you?
Well, they have auditions for the company, I guess. So if you get an audition, then it's like you do. I think there's level A through E. I didn't do the alphabet. I skipped the alphabet. But they have level A through E, which are like these awesome beginner classes that you can rock out. And then when you get to the end of level E, you can audition for a conservatory program, which is more intensive training. And then after you do the conservatory program, then you can audition for the company.
So who's in the group that you have seen that people would know? Would people know the names that you've worked with?
Ooh. If you know comedy around town, like
Yes.
We've had a lot of comics.
Oh.
Yeah, tons.
it's-
Awesome. So right now on tour with me is Natalie Metcalf, Christian Smith. They just did an amazing show called Tom Shadow, which was like a huge hit. Then we also got Claire McConnell, who is on Star Trek.
That's cool.
She plays the queen of the Klingons.
Oh.
Klingons? I think I'm saying
Because
that right.
you just never quite know, and as you said, if people
yeah.
know comedy around town, because it is its own universe to a degree.
Yeah.
People say, wow, what about Martin Short? That's the late 70s. So she probably has not worked. But occasionally, I think they do come back to the old fire hall. Do they not?
Yeah. Every once in a while, you'll see that somebody's just kind of sitting in the audience, and it's like, oh my gosh, this person's here.
Yeah,
and they come up on stage.
So people
It's rad.
think, okay, then you must want to go to Saturday Night Live. People because we've seen it. That's what we think happens, but that's not necessarily an exact road.
I mean, that would be a cool road.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be an awesome road. But it's a really great thing that just kind of teaches you how to write and create things. So, I don't know. I like making people laugh.
So today is 2 shows. Now, let me get this right. So it's called Second Base, Hooking Up.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So as soon as you throw that out there, it's like, tell me more about this. Is this your second run with it? Because I heard that you guys did this show previously to it. Am I getting this right or am I wrong on this?
We had another like Christmas show going on, and then we had Canada 150. And I think every year Second City does a Valentine's Day show.
Right.
So I feel like last year was just like hooking up, and this year we're taking it to
we're
second base.
base.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're moving.
Okay.
We're moving a little further.
And so 2 shows today. What's the run like on this? Because I know it's selling very well from what I understand.
They actually extended us, so we'll be running into mid-March, which is awesome.
Wow.
There's a couple shows going on at Second City right now. there's a really great, like, our main stage review, which is like, party today, panic tomorrow.
You were thinking about it. You're like,
With
what
so
the
many
hell was the name of
Ps.
it? What was it? What
No,
was it?
and I always get to it. It's like, I never know the right order. I just have to pause and think about all of the P's that are going on.
Well, that's what I was trying to think. Was it second base hooking up, or was it hooking up at second
Second
base?
base,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
We just heard hooking up in second base. And it's
We're
like-
good.
Yeah.
I know.
What can people expect from this? Is there a lot of connotation towards second base and what it
Yeah, is
actually
it
means?
relationships? Is it what is
Is
it?
Yeah, we do like a lot of relationships. We've got scenes of like your classic relationship scenes. Then we've got like great scenes that are about like loving yourself. We've got some pretty sexy innuendo scenes. There's a favorite game that I love to play. It's like Sex with Me. So basically you get a suggestion of something from the audience of like something you'll find in the back of your fridge, a zucchini. And then you're
Sure.
like,
Oh, there you go.
Sex with me is like a zucchini, really seedy. Or,
Right.
I prefer when you've left the skin on.
But see,
Yeah.
I would be terrified of audience involvement. Now you're used to it, and you do. And there's workshops and there's improv, but people basically are shit. Like they don't get it. So it's like pick something in your
Yeah.
fridge. Dog fart.
Yeah. Yeah. But the Second
Like-
City gives you license to just
Yeah.
look at those people and be like, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you hear what you said out loud? Because we all heard it."
Now, so when you and again getting back to sort of those that have come out, we've had a chance. A bunch of the former SCTV people have been on the show, including Martin Short. Andrea Martin came on and just killed me. Andrea Martin was so good. And she looks like she hasn't aged at all. I mean, she almost looks exactly the same. The energy was the same. She was an absolute doll. And I said, I think, for women in comedy, that there are a lot of great examples of the kinds of comedy you might want to be based on some of these performances. It's not a necessarily a male dominated trait.
Yeah.
So do you have some that you look at and go, oh, I love this particular style of comedian / actress, because a lot of them are actresses as well.
I love Gilda Radner. I know that's like taking it way back, but I absolutely love Gilda Radner. I always watch her videos. Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Second City has this cool thing where you can watch archive videos. So like going back and watching her when she was on stage in Chicago is just like,
I've never seen those.
whoa. Yeah, so cool. And obviously Amy Poehler as well.
Sure.
Yeah, Kristen
Good
Wiig.
combo too. Those two have
Yeah.
been just
Yeah.
throughout a lot of different things. Not only just hosting award shows. That's
Yeah.
just the small bit of it, but just what they've produced on TV, on stage, everything
Yeah.
else.
It's also so great to see their friendship too, because
Yeah.
that's a huge thing of it. Like you make really great friends.
Okay, so the cast you're working with now, and let's just take that example as
Yeah.
what we're referring to with this. How well do you know these people before you actually start and get together? Because there
Oh.
has to be a chemistry. Like Mike and
Yeah.
I have worked together at different
And a
places.
trust. And a
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
and
That's Vida.
I kind of know what he's
Yeah.
going to say. He knows, like, people don't come up to us and say, this is what you're going to say here, and you're going to respond. I mean, that just doesn't happen,
Yeah.
but there has to
Yes,
be
Dave. That is correct.
so how does it work with you?
Well, I actually hadn't worked. There were a few people on the cast who I hadn't worked with when I got there, but I think you have all these people who are in casting who are kind of watching everybody's work from afar, and they just kind of, it's like puzzle pieces of like, oh, and I hit my mic.
And you, and you
of like
hope,
these people fit together.
but you hope
because
the
you
puzzle
do.
fits because you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know.
You live in this tiny little room. You live with each other on
Yeah.
top of each other. You gotta like each other.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny reading some of the books too that come out from those who have done it and famous people. Even Belushi did a stint and Flaherty didn't like him because you'd be creating this thing that maybe you workshopped or whatever you did, and you got this thing going, and then he'd have this idea of walking on the stage going, hey man, I gotta take a shit, and everyone would laugh, and it just killed
Yeah.
what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of that. I mean, people are going to look at the Chris Farley's of the world and some
Yeah.
of these, but I think when you're in that environment, it's really not just to push one person. Now it's conceivable that one kind of dominant star, you just can see it coming.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think the routine is that it is a team, is it not?
Absolutely.
Like you can't hold someone down. Like sometimes there's just a guy or a girl that you're thinking this person is going to go amazing,
Yeah. But it really honestly is like everybody works together, like, and sometimes the best joke that you can get to means that you have to let those little jokes slide by because you're building to something bigger, or like set your buds up, like set your friends up
Right.
to succeed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would think people say, well, maybe a lot of stand-ups. But stand-up isn't this. Stand-up is a different world, and you are your own universe when you're on stage. Therefore, like you get the punchline. I mean, you're constantly thinking of, here comes the payoff.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that in what you do, necessarily.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're just kind of like...
Because you may be this... You're setting up that person for the killer bit.
Yeah, like we use improv. We use improv in like the writing process, but especially like even when you're improvising with somebody, like you want to take little steps. You don't want to just go to like, oh, I'm gonna take a big shit on stage, because that gets the big laugh and then the scene's done. So, but if you can lead up, if you can get your bud to the point where it makes sense for them to take a big shit on stage, it'll be funnier in the long run. And
see, now I want to take claim of that. If people are watching, I know it's Belushi, but I think I updated it a little bit, and then it's the girl comes on stage and goes, "I got to take a dump." Maybe is the way.
Dump.
Yeah,
I got to take a hot dump. I got to drop my lunch.
No, you know when you improv stuff and I've heard this from stand-ups too, they find the word. Because of the times doing it in front of the crowd, they go, okay, shit doesn't work, dump doesn't work, blah, 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 crap, whatever, drop the kids off the pool, whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're like, this one does. Does your group do that a lot where they go, you know, the word that really killed, the actual phrasing, but that's only through the trials and tribulations of doing it night after night, maybe up in Huntsville or something.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get like you start your scene and then you like have like a couple words of dialogue and then you listen for the first bit of laughter and then that is what you're going to repeat. You're just going to hit that in a different way over and over and over again. Yeah.
Now, in terms of directing, because there's been a lot of famous directors, a lot of guys. Is there anyone still there from beginning to end? Would we know any of the names?
I'm trying to think. Karen Parker's our director right now. She's a main stage alum and she's amazing. Feel very, very lucky to be working with her. And Carly Heffernan's going to be directing the upcoming main stage show. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Sure, of course.
The secrets are coming
Look right in there and just say, suck it.
Like, I told the secrets. I let the secrets out. And she's fearless. She had just had like huge hits in Chicago, and huge hits here in Toronto. So it's awesome that she's coming back. I'm trying to think of like any people that are still kicking the can around there.
Because I'm thinking
from back in the day.
For years, I have that Second City book, you know, the big hardcover one that's got all the cool stuff, and you know, and I'll tell you what, you know, you're talking about the evolution of a bit. So the Chris Farley, you know, in the motivational speaker. Yeah. It is amazing because when you watch the version that you see him do with Christina Applegate and David Spade, he's by this time has probably done it 1,000 times, and they're still breaking up during the thing because it's just so. But that bit, that whole thing, when you know Phil Hartman's in it, but. If you go in and you get the like little DVD, you'll see all the different people that have been in that sketch while he's done it and work that thing out. So by the time it gets to a Saturday Night Live, some of these people go, well, you know, there's something that we used to do. Like the Mike Myers, from what I understand, the Wayne's World thing was something he did on stage.
Yeah, I heard it started here. Yeah, which is so freaking cool. Yeah, it's If you find a character that works, you're just like constantly revising it. And
so, do you have a go-to? Do you have like a Edith Prickly? Do you have a?
Not yet, but someday it'll land on me.
So you don't have a going. Okay, I'm going to do the coaster girl or whatever.
No. Every night before I go to bed, some people pray, some people brush their teeth. Me, I just like look up to the sky and say, "Give me bits, give me the good bit. I'm waiting for my bits." Yeah.
How do you practice?
Ooh, you fail a lot.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, you fail.
Because I mean, I sit there and I've been to off and on different acts and presentations and everything like that, and I just wonder, how the hell do you practice and how do you because we do our job by watching sports or watching this and understanding. Just we've played the game, we've done it, but I mean, from your point of view, is like. What goes in that mind of yours to make sure everything goes right tonight, for example? Jinx, jinx, jinx.
Well, first you freak out. There's a lot of freaking out. There's a lot of superstition. We all do a lot of improv around town too, which is kind of good to like loosen up and you find things, and you also fail really hard in front of a group of improvisers or a smaller crowd. So that kind of like. You just figure stuff out. You get better. You get better at knowing what to do.
Like theater sports isn't still going, is it?
Yeah, theater sports is still happening at Bad Dog.
Oh my God, that's that's got to be 30 years, maybe more.
It's such a fun thing.
Because it always scares me because people are like, you know, you get together, obviously alcohol involved, and like, let's do a little thing. Let's do a thing. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't. You know, honestly, I don't think so. And people are like, yeah, let's do a thing. I said,
Let's do some
okay,
make-em-ups.
let's do an environment. Okay, prison camp. All right. We've got to get out of here. Oh, okay, well, this is what I'm saying. Well, I'm drinking more rye. I'm looking at you, and I'm wishing you were in prison. And you know what scenes too? They're not good ones.
Yeah.
But some people, it must be very humbling when they've got all. Maybe they went to Sheridan College and they're a theater program. They always want to do this, and they go out and they, because it's so spontaneous, and it's that stream of consciousness. You either have it or you don't have it, and sometimes it must be really tough watching some people just crash and burn because they don't get close to the stages. I mean, they're not going to get on if you're not very good. I mean, it's too hard. Too hard. You guys are too good. Yeah. You can say you're good. You can look in the camera going, I can't believe I'm doing this for this money.
Sometimes when you're writing stuff, though, you'll take things out in the improv set after. So after you do your show, then we have an improv set. And if you're working on something, you'll take it out. And there are times where you take something out, and it's just silence. It's just crickets. And so you learn.
Yeah. No. Okay, so 2 shows tonight.
Yeah.
What time are the shows?
Great. 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And we have a 10 o'clock. tonight.
Okay. Now the reason I ask you that about 2 shows is a lot of times if, when I was on television, there was a high of doing something and then it was over. And then there's a cooling period.
Are you talking about when you did Dracula on TV?
No.
Was that?
Yeah.
Quiet.
You did Dracula on TV?
Doing sports
Let's
too.
talk about you.
What?
I want.
Whoa.
I know. He always wants to hide it. Don't hide it.
Yeah.
Let your light shine.
Don't
Let it
hide your
shine.
darkness.
Halloween. How do you get back up for it at the 10 o'clock show when you've already had that high at 7? Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just because you're on stage, you're doing everything, and then you cool off, but then you have to heat up again. That's the part I would have a hard time with.
Energy.
Yeah,
Right?
energy. Well, we drink a lot of coffee.
Okay.
But I think we all really love what we do. And
So it's not that tough for you, right?
Oh, when you first hear Second City plays like this little please turn off your cell phone thing that has this jazz riff underneath it.
Yeah.
And just the sound of the music after you've done it for so long gets into your heart, and you just you can feel the adrenaline start. So
Like an
That's
athlete.
pretty
Like it's
cool.
game time. You gotta be
pretty
on.
much like that's.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking because you've hit that at 7. You've heard that music,
Yeah.
and then you've done your thing, and then there's that cooling off period. But then the music starts again.
And then you're right back into it.
Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's where I much respect for you.
We don't
because that'd
keep going like it's not craziness backstage.
No, I know, but it's like wow to have the
Yeah.
2 shows. What's the most you've done in a day then? Is it a 3-show day? Has there been a 4-show day? Or?
No, maximum is 2 shows in a day. Yeah, with
It's almost like
Second
the
City.
serial killer
Done.
talk.
Yeah.
Did you do 2 in a day? Because Bundy did 3 in a day. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that in there.
Back in my day, we used to do 6. We used to just crank them out, rubbing out show after show.
Yeah. Shorter jokes.
Yeah. You got to keep it tight.
Yeah. Just at the end, everything's like, thank you. What is that? So now we need to know. Okay, hold on. Where did I find that?
Now,
Really?
Can we talk about Dracula?
No, we
no.
I was like Dracula.
Here we go. Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah.
And on Valentine's Day, I very often use this voice.
It works.
It was called the creepy voice in Calgary. Leave me alone. You don't know what I like. Actually, they do. So for you, what's a Valentine's Day? What's a Gillian Welsh perfect Valentine's Day?
Well, ideally it would happen on Tuesday because I don't know if you're aware of this, but on Tuesdays it's 2-for-1 pizza at Domino's.
Perfect.
I ate a whole pie last night.
Yeah.
I ate a whole freaking pie. I felt good about myself.
What are you putting on the pie?
I watched Batman. Sometimes I like to get a pizza. We're getting real.
Yeah.
We're getting real
We
now.
are.
Because Domino's has 2 different sizes of pepperoni.
Yeah.
They got regular pepperoni. They got Brooklyn-sized
Brooklyn,
pepperoni.
that's right.
How can you choose between the 2? You got to get both.
Is there? It just sounds like at some point in that evening there might be some crying. Is there crying involved? Go ahead, you eat that meat pizza.
No, I did. Eat your pizza, and you start to sweat a little bit. I did cry last night. I was watching this Captain America movie. I forget what it's called, Civil War.
Okay.
But there's this really great moment when Iron Man and Captain America, they have this good moment at the end. It made me cry while I was eating my pizza.
I gotta be honest. I've never heard about the
Yeah.
emotional part of the Captain America series. I didn't know that.
It's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have to
It's
look for it.
important. It's vital.
Well, people watch
That's
these
about
shows.
relationships.
This is us.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen This Is Us yet.
People go.
Me neither. No.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you go up to a football player and say, "Hey, did you see?" I'm like, why do you watch the show?
Yeah.
That's all they do. It's just, everything's very upsetting, and
Yeah.
there's diseases and
Oh,
separations and fires. I guess on
Yeah.
cue. Do you hear that?
I eat the pizza to suppress my feelings, and I watch the TV to get them out again.
Do people go
it's
to
a cycle?
No, what
It's a
about your
circle.
family then? They see you do this stuff and go, "I don't. We loved her. We loved her.
We-
We hugged her and schooling. We had schooling.
Yeah. We want no responsibility for this. We just want to let you know. Yeah.
They're usually pretty dark. Those people. Where'd you grow up? Where's school for you?
I grew up in Saugeen, so it's like Saugeen Township. So there's like Southampton, Ontario, and Port Elgin, Ontario that are pretty close by there.
Oh, you're that way.
It's an amalgamation of like Saugeen Shores. Saugeen Shores. Yeah. In good
guys are
old
going.
Bruce County.
Make her say that again.
Yes.
No. That's not the second base part.
No.
Take it easy.
Yes.
That's not how they talk. It was like from Saugeen. You give her tits over there. You go mudding. Go mudding. You ever been mudding?
Mudding?
Oh,
no.
bud, you gotta go frickin' mudding. Don't you even fucking know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got like this. So basically, you take
It's like Letterkenny.
Oh yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Like you take like somebody's old, I don't know, Chevy Blazer or something.
Okay. All right.
And you get a lift kit with hydraulics. So you lift it, and your like little cab is up as high, and you put these big wheels on it, and then you drive her right into a big mud puddle, get her real good and stuck,
Nice.
get her unstuck, and then drive right back in again.
That's mudding.
That's mudding.
That's
Yeah.
mudding.
Tell me that's
For
not Valentine's Day.
hours people do
Yeah.
this. It has been a
Yeah, I
Valentine's
was gonna
Day
say,
of my
so
past.
I'm kind of get worked up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a rural guy myself.
Yeah.
How close is like Turkey Point to from there? That's quite a distance.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Turkey Point
Yeah,
is.
okay.
It sounds it fits the area.
Yeah.
It for sure sounds like it would be there.
Because you're towards the Kincardine side, aren't
yeah,
you?
yeah. The
Yes.
Kinkerdinks.
Oh, do you not like them? Look in there and tell people.
Kinkerdinks. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, they think they're so good.
Oh yeah.
They
Town
think they're so
rivalry.
good.
Oh yeah.
Although that beach is pretty good.
It is a great beach.
Yeah, it is
The
good.
sunsets are absolutely gorgeous.
So, see, talk like that more, I think.
Yeah.
Here, now,
Oh,
no, I'll
yes.
find other music.
That's right.
Yes.
I hail closer to Southampton.
Okay, now she went English. I'm an Irish person. That just grossed me out. What the fuck was that all about?
Okay, all right.
That was Elizabeth Windsor came out.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
thanks for having
what
me.
a pleasure. And you know, sometimes over the years where I'm doing voice work or whatever, a lot of Second City people.
Yeah.
I mean, because they audition for a lot of commercials sometimes.
Yeah.
Have you done some commercials?
I have. Oh man, I was in a weird Coffee Mate commercial. I shouldn't say weird. Is that? Yeah.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in this Coffee Mate
I-
commercial.
I bought Coffee Mate
Yeah,
because of that
thank you.
commercial that she did.
Yes. Yes.
What was it? Was it a romantic one?
Yeah, it was about like this something had happened in Sudbury, Ontario, like the Sudbury incident.
What, like a nickel meltdown or something?
Yeah,
like
I don't know. They didn't specify. It was a cool ad campaign, but it was my first experience filming a commercial, and I was doing bits with the guy next to me, and I didn't realize there was a whole bunch of people in the basement of the house we were filming in, like the people, like the corporation from Nestle that were just like watching.
Okay, hold on.
I was
Wait,
singing
hold on.
Spice Girls.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Wait a
Told
minute.
me
Wait
I
a
like
minute.
my song.
This is Coffee Mate.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I
It has
don't
something to do with
remember
like
this
a-
commercial.
A smelting accident or something, and then you're having fun in the house.
Yeah.
What?
No, there's no smelting accident.
This is
It's just like
this is
the
a very
Sudbury-
callous.
It's a Sudbury incident. So like ever since he drank whatever, ever since it happened, he's been different. And then he just slowly drinks Coffee Mate.
This brings him out of the tragedy.
No, we don't know what it's just an incident. It's not it's not tragic. It's an incident. There's a difference.
You mean Johnny got killed by a bus? Yeah. Coffee's fucking great. What? Cut. Well, I'm feeling the moment. I'm feeling the moment. We're from Sudbury. What are you? We're gonna talk like the Queen again? I say.
Yeah. But I actually had people be like, you need to tell me what the incident was.
Okay.
The people I don't know find me and message me of like, you know, and I need to know. I was like, this is a very effective ad campaign. Please leave me alone.
That is unbelievable. So do you have an
Especially
agent?
the last part.
Please leave me
Yes,
alone. Yeah.
exactly.
Tell me you should have an agent. You do have an agent?
I do, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to say who
Oh,
it is?
I'm at Butler, Rustin, and Bell.
Oh.
I was like, that's like my slate.
Yeah, that sounds very
Julian
fancy.
Welsh, Butler, Ralston, and Bell.
Who's Belle?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I hope it's not. I hope it's not that
names,
Belle.
I don't know.
You'll get let go if it's that Belle.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't like that.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. What a pleasure.
Thank
We
you
got to come
for
down
having
and see
me.
you too, because now it's was it like Blue Jays
Usually
Way?
come-
What is that?
Yeah, and you should play the set with us. A little improv. Get up and do some make 'em ups.
I'm gonna take a shit. They go,
Yeah,
oh,
for
that
sure.
guy.
No, that'll be your bit.
Yeah.
You can just come out and take it down whenever you want.
Some
yeah.
guy's seen like 3 shows. He goes, I can't go to the 3rd show. It's just he mugs for the he milks it. Yeah. Yeah. He's the Bill Cosby of Second City. I mean, you can't say that anymore. That used to be good. That used to be like
Not anymore.
he's the Louis C.K. of no, not the Louis C.K.
no,
of
no.
Eat the
that.
pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so let's hope there's no inappropriate stuff. And like, backstage, Second City, I got to think every 5 seconds or something inappropriate by everybody. Like, this is why I think, what are the parameters now?
We have rules. There's like a bathroom that you can take a dump in, and
Yeah.
there's a bathroom that you absolutely cannot.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I think that keeps the peace.
Yeah, I
keeps
bet
the
it does. I bet it does.
More
Although it ruins
businesses
that
have
other
to do
bit.
this.
It does
Yeah.
what it does. Jillian, thanks so much for coming in. You're just
Thanks for
awesome.
having
It
me.
was so great.
So fun.
As we go out, this will make no sense. I thought, what are we going to do to segue? Because I couldn't find any more Second City stuff. But I did find a Toronto Maple Leaf clip.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
we talk about different styles of goaltending. You watch this, and what is this? What year is this? This is 19. What is this, Russell? 1980. 1980. Boy, you watch the goaltending and wonder, where were the coaches on that one? But this is a great moment. This is the unis that we love against the Oilers, and as you can imagine, turns into a bit of a track meet 1980 property of the National Hockey League.
They're the 3 forwards for Edmonton. And we have Al Hamilton on the defense along with number 6, Colvin Campbell. Here's the puck out in front, knocked back by Stan Weir. Comes out in front of the net again. Here's Vyvev, goal! Ricky Vyve drove it into the corner.
Ricky Vyve is a happy young fellow there. The puck came loose right in the slot area. And did he ever get good one on it? You know, the puck was bouncing and up on its edge, but he caught that just perfect and let it go. Nobody around. McDonald, he was against the boards. He couldn't get there in time.
The puck into the corner. It ends up back of the net. Lowe clears it up on the wing. And that's McDonald trying to get away. He left it there for number 19, Ashby. Ashby lifts one over on the side. Ashby's got it again. Trying to come out in front. Does the shoot is good. Murdoch. Scoring from Ashby. No question about that.
Well, the last couple of shifts, the Oilers have been doing a better job of skating. And what a great play here by Ashby. Salming got attracted by the puck there. Didn't take the man. And look at the play that he makes to McDonald. And boy, you don't want to leave McDonald alone. He knows what to do with that thing. He's got over, 47 goals now?
Oh, baby.
Good position.
Ahead to Sittler. One man
Out
back
there.
the shot. Lowe stopped that on the
See, that was just, and then now I'm watching it like it's really happening. I got to stop doing that with some of these clips. That was awesome. Jillian was unbelievable, Dave. That was it's just such a treat to meet these people because you just, and also too, I'll be honest, you just never know how far those people go. So
That's true.
Did Tina Fey or Amy Poehler or where did they started exactly what Jillian is doing? As you can see, she can break in a voice, she can do whatever wanted. She was just fabulous. I loved having her.
Yeah, so Second City hooking up second base. It's playing a couple shows tonight. There's a couple more shows. It's an extended run. So check out that website because I know they have at least 8 to 10 new shows that have been added just because of how popular the show has been. And looks like it's a good one. And it looks like that more and more people are going to go out to this because of past success.
Also, as we mentioned, the Olympics coming up the Olympic hockey tournament. We saw 2 upsets already today. So the winners, Slovakia and Slovenia. Dave.
Yes,
And-
S-O-L. No S-O, no S-L-O. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they'll put abbreviations and it's like the flags of both countries are very close, right? They're red, white, and blue. And it's like, no. The Slovenia one is the one with the logo in the top left corner, right? So don't make that mistake.
Okay, so as we all rise now for
Okay.
the Slovenian national anthem
Here we go.
called Zdravajička.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's here it is. Why is it not doing anything? I swear to God, sometimes.
Oh.
Oh, there it is. A little late there, Kopitar. No, actually, I was gonna go.
No,
that's
you're
not.
not.
No.
They were against that.
Oh, baby. When over Earth's habitations, no war, no strife shall hold its sway. That's what they just sang.
You know what that sounds like too? Sounds like Sweet Victory. That's what it sounds like.
Who long to see that all men are free? No more shall foes, but neighbors be.
Now, just to go Canadian on you for a second, when they say men shall be free, it's mankind. Okay, I know in Canada they want to change that and say all of us. It's like no. The notation is mankind, women, children,
all things,
all races, all sexes, everything. It just don't.
Yeah, it's just
that's the thing that kind of bothers me about changing anthems because of reasonings like that. It's like no.
I don't think they were putting down necessarily that let's exclude women. I never felt that.
No, never.
But, for those of you, it says that all of us are free or what? Because whatever.
It's true.
At some point, I mean, no. How about no more? No more. Hey, no. Okay, it's gone. No more shall be free. No, actually, that's not what they're saying. Can you imagine? No more shall be. What are we singing? I don't think that's. Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the Slovenian national anthem, as performed by Bradley Kopitar. Toronto goal scorer by number 14, Dave Kean. Okay.
I know what you feel like doing after a game like that. Yeah. Going out for ribs and a vegetable medley.
The vegetable medley. And, of course, you're getting fries with that. The national dish of all Slovenians available at Joey Tomatoes. Or no,
Earl's.
Sorry, Earl's. All right. Do we have anything that we were supposed to play today? Russ, it didn't, but because we got all weird. We'll say that there's speaking of March Madness, there was a conversation, not even a conversation. So it's a press conference with Bobby Knight.
Yes.
Where he decides he is going to write down what the journalists say, like the journalists do to him, and then he grades them on their question. It's hysterical. We'll do that. We'll do that tomorrow, as we have lots to talk about. And by the way, remember some of those. I hope you remembered some of those gambling tips. Oh yes.
What? We just become best friends. Yep. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep. It's
A huge thank you to Jillian Welsh from Second City, the Second City. She was just delightful. The show, hooking up second base. It is their tribute to Valentine's Day. If you want to see if there's tickets, because apparently now there's more shows because the other ones were sold out because they are that good. Simply phone the Second City box office off of Blue Jays Way.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You'll have yourself a great time. There's the meal packages, and yes, there is booze. Very important. Also, enjoy your Valentine's Day, whether it's doing absolutely nothing. Some people's Valentine's Day is the anti-Valentine's Day, but otherwise, good luck tonight, fellas. Know what I mean? Yeah. And ladies, because both should.
Yeah.
We're for both.